The wounded soldier's injuries were wrong for a vehicle accident. Combat Medic Staff Sergeant Lisa Chen had treated hundreds of trauma cases, knew the difference between crash injuries and gunshot wounds. But when she rappelled down to the convoy wreckage and discovered the casualties were actually enemy combatants in stolen uniforms, Guardian Down protocol became a fight for survival 200 feet above hostile territory. The HH-60G Pave Hawk helicopter had been airborne for 37 minutes when a distress call crackled through their communication systems. A three-vehicle convoy had reportedly hit an improvised explosive device in a remote valley of eastern Afghanistan, leaving multiple casualties requiring immediate medical evacuation. The coordinates placed the incident in a relatively secure area that had seen minimal hostile activity in recent months, making it a straightforward rescue mission for the experienced crew. Staff Sergeant Lisa Chen served as the helicopter's pararescue specialist, a role that combined advanced medical training with combat skills necessary to treat wounded soldiers in hostile environments. At 29, she had completed 4 deployments and over 200 combat missions, earning recognition as one of the most capable medics in her squadron. Her job was to rappel into dangerous situations, stabilize wounded personnel, and coordinate their extraction to medical facilities. The Pave Hawk crew consisted of 4 highly trained specialists: Major Sarah Williams as pilot, Captain Jake Martinez as co-pilot, Tech Sergeant Mike Johnson as flight engineer, and Lisa as the pararescue specialist. Together, they formed one of the most experienced combat search and rescue teams in theater, with a success rate that had saved dozens of lives during their current deployment. The initial mission briefing had seemed routine. Intelligence reports indicated no significant enemy activity in the target area for the past 2 weeks. The convoy that had been hit belonged to a logistics unit transporting supplies between forward operating bases, and their last communication had reported they were following established routes through clear terrain. The explosion had occurred at approximately 1,430 hours, and first responders estimated 3 casualties requiring urgent medical attention. Guardian 6, this is Dust Off 12, Lisa transmitted to their command center as the helicopter approached the reported coordinates. ETA to crash site is 5 minutes. Please confirm no friendly forces in the immediate area. Copy Dust Off 12. Confirm no friendlies except convoy personnel. Area has been quiet for past 14 days. Weather is clear, winds light, and variable. Lisa conducted her pre-mission equipment check as they flew toward the target area. Her medical kit contained everything necessary to treat trauma injuries in the field: for fluids, morphine, bandages, splints, and the emergency surgical supplies that could mean the difference between life and death for critically wounded soldiers. Her personal weapon and ammunition were secured but accessible, standard procedure for missions in contested airspace where medical personnel might need to defend patients while coordinating evacuation. The valley came into view as a typical Afghan landscape: rocky terrain, sparse vegetation, and a dirt road winding between hills that offered concealment for both friendly forces and potential threats. The convoy wreckage was visible from altitude. 3 vehicles clustered near what appeared to be a crater in the road where the IED had detonated. Lisa studied the scene through the helicopter's windows, noting details that would affect her approach to treating casualties. The vehicle positions seemed consistent with convoy defensive procedures after an attack, and she could observe figures in military uniforms near the wreckage who appeared to be tending to wounded personnel. Guardian 6, this is Dust Off 12. We have visual on crash site and are beginning approach for casualty evacuation. Roger, Dust Off 12. Be advised, convoy commander reports 3 urgent casualties, 1 critical. Weather conditions are favorable for hoist operations. The helicopter settled into a hover 200 feet above the crash site, while Lisa prepared to rappel down on a fast rope. Standard procedure called for the aircraft to maintain altitude for security, while the pararescue specialist descended to assess casualties and coordinate their extraction. The hover position provided the crew with good visibility of the surrounding terrain, while keeping the aircraft high enough to avoid small arms fire from ground level. Lisa clipped onto the fast rope and began her descent, medical kit secured to her harness, and weapon positioned for immediate access. As she approached ground level, she began her initial assessment of the tactical situation, looking for signs of continued enemy presence or additional hazards that might threaten the rescue operation. The first inconsistency she noticed was the positioning of the casualties. In her experience, soldiers wounded by IED explosions were typically found near their vehicles or in defensive positions where they had sought cover after the attack. But the figures lying near the convoy appeared to have been arranged in locations that maximized their visibility to approaching aircraft rather than positioned for medical treatment. The second warning sign came when she reached 50 feet above the ground and could clearly observe the wounded personnel. Their injuries appeared superficial compared to what she would expect from a devastating IED attack, and their body position seemed more consistent with deliberate placement than random trauma distribution. Lisa keyed her radio as she continued descending. Dust off, 12. Something doesn't look right down here. The casualty distribution is inconsistent with reported IED damage. Copy. Guardian down. Continue assessment, but maintain security awareness. When Lisa reached the ground and approached the first casualty, her medical training immediately identified the deception. The soldier was wearing a U.S. Army uniform, but his injuries were obviously inflicted by small arms fire rather than explosive fragmentation. More critically, when she checked his pulse and airway, the man's physical build and facial features were inconsistent with American military personnel. The second casualty confirmed her worst fears. Upon closer examination, the uniform bore subtle differences from standard U.S. military issue. Incorrect rank insignia placement, wrong boot type, and equipment that didn't match current military specifications. The wounded soldier was actually a healthy enemy combatant who had been positioned to appear injured while wearing stolen American uniforms. Lisa's training kicked in as she realized the rescue mission was actually an elaborate trap designed to capture or destroy American rescue assets. She immediately activated her emergency beacon and transmitted the coded phrase that would alert her crew to imminent danger. Dust off, 12, Guardian down. Initiate emergency extraction procedures immediately. Major Williams' voice crackled back before Lisa could respond. Muzzle flashes erupted from concealed positions throughout the valley. The crash site had been turned into a kill zone, with enemy fighters positioned to catch American rescue helicopters in a devastating crossfire. The fake casualties were intended to draw pararescue specialists to the ground where they could be captured or killed, while the helicopter overhead became a stationary target for rocket-propelled grenades and heavy machine guns. Taking fire from multiple positions, Lisa shouted into her radio while diving for cover behind the overturned vehicle. This is a trap. Repeat, this is an enemy trap. The Pavehawk immediately began evasive maneuvers, climbing rapidly while laying down suppressive fire from its door-mounted machine guns. But Lisa was now stranded on the ground in the center of an enemy ambush, 200 feet below her extraction platform, and surrounded by hostile combatants who had spent considerable time preparing this elaborate deception. Guardian Down protocol was designed for exactly this situation, when rescue personnel became isolated in hostile territory and required immediate extraction under fire. The protocol authorized aggressive combat operations to recover isolated personnel, including close air support and additional rescue assets, if necessary. Guardian 6, this is Dust Off, 12, Major Williams transmitted to their command center. We have Guardian Down situation. Pararescue specialist is isolated in enemy kill zone, requesting immediate combat support and backup extraction assets. Copy. Dust Off, 12. Guardian Down protocol is active. Close air support is inbound. ETA 6 minutes. Hold position and maintain contact. Lisa found herself fighting for survival using skills that combine medical training with combat experience. Using the overturned convoy vehicle as cover, she engaged enemy positions with her personal weapon while calling in precise coordinates for the suppressive fire that her helicopter crew was providing from altitude. Dust Off, 12. I count approximately 12 enemy positions distributed throughout the valley. They've got this site zeroed for indirect fire. The convoy wreckage is fake. These vehicles were positioned to create the illusion of an IED attack. The sophisticated nature of the trap impressed and terrified Lisa simultaneously. Enemy forces had invested significant time and resources in creating a convincing fake crash site, complete with damaged vehicles, stolen uniforms, and carefully positioned fake casualties. The operation demonstrated intelligence, gathering capabilities, and tactical planning that indicated professional military training rather than typical insurgent activity. For the next 8 minutes, Lisa fought a running battle while her helicopter crew coordinated with incoming close air support to suppress enemy positions. Her medical training proved invaluable as she treated her own minor wounds sustained during the firefight, while her combat skills kept her alive against overwhelming odds. When the rescue helicopters finally extracted her using a high-speed rope extraction under covering fire from Apache attack helicopters, Lisa had gained intelligence that would prevent similar traps from succeeding against future rescue missions. The enemy's elaborate deception had been exposed, and their positions had been compromised. Guardian 6, this is Dust-Off 12. Guardian down, recovery complete. 1 rescued personnel, minimal injuries, valuable intelligence gathered on enemy tactics. As the Pave Hawk flew back to base with Lisa safely aboard, she reflected on how close the trap had come to succeeding. If she hadn't recognized the inconsistencies in the fake casualties' injuries, the entire rescue crew could have been lost to an ambush that had been months in the planning. Staff Sergeant Lisa Chen had rappelled down, expecting to save American lives. Instead, she had exposed and defeated an enemy operation designed to exploit the humanitarian instincts that made American rescue personnel willing to risk their lives for wounded soldiers. Guardian Down protocol had been successfully executed, and future rescue operations would benefit from hard-learned lessons about verifying the authenticity of distress calls in hostile territory. In the dangerous skies above Afghanistan, the Guardian had come down but had not been lost, and the knowledge she brought back would help protect other rescue crews from similar deceptions.